Hey,
Hello.
everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We're so excited to have you here today. We're going to give everybody just 1 minute to go ahead and get joined. So we'll get started here in just a moment at the top of the hour.
This should be fun.
Yeah. Excited to get started.
I'm a nerd. I like numbers, especially when they're going up. Up.
All right. So we are at the 2 o'clock mark, and I see a lot of people are still joining in. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Before we kick things off, I did just want to go through a few housekeeping things. If you've never used On24 before, then you will see on your screen that you have the ability to access the webinar deck that you're looking at that we're sharing here. So if you'd like to see it in a larger format, you can access that. We also strongly encourage you to use the Q&A bar that you'll see on the left-hand side of your screen to ask any questions that you have. We'll be monitoring those throughout the presentation. And Richard just asked, is there a phone number that I can call into? And there is. So when you very first log in, you should have received a prompt of how you want to join the meeting, either by your computer audio or by a phone number, and it provides a phone number there for you. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. So we're going to start with an interactive question for all of you today. So are you currently using Glew for analytics and reporting today? So if everybody would just take a quick minute and respond to the poll.
Come here. You get one more. That's it.
That was definitely a yes there. Yes.
Okay, you've gotten your look.
Okay.
Can I put you down now?
We're going to give everybody just 1 more minute to go ahead and get their answers in. And while they do, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Jen Moss, and I will be here. It's kind of your webinar guide, if you will, through this experience. But I have on with me today 2 very amazing ladies, Laura and Lori. And I felt like I should have changed my name to Lola or something else with an L for today's broadcast. I could fit into the group, but I did not. But without further ado, I would also like to introduce my coworker, Laura Brooks. She's been with Glew for over 7 years. She is our VP of Sales, extraordinarily knowledgeable on the e-commerce space and also the Glew product. So, Laura, you want to give a little hello?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to find the screen here. Oh, we're not showing it yet. Okay. Hello, everybody. Excited to chat today with you all. I'm excited to get started. I'm happy that Lori has joined us today. She's amazing. So if you are in the BigCommerce community, I'm sure you already know her name. So excited to get started.
So it looks like our polling results are in, and we are about a house divided. So about 50-50 in terms of people that use Glew and those that don't. So hopefully by the end of this, you will have a better understanding of what Glew can deliver, and we would love for you to get started. So just quickly to go over our agenda. We're going to do a warm intro for the lovely Lori, who has taken time out of her day to be with us. And we're going to go through really quickly some industry trends, some best practices for Glew and how it works. And then we're going to get into some Q&A. And throughout the presentation, there are going to be some polling questions. Again, we want this to be really interactive. So we invite you to participate in all of those. to give us some valuable feedback to help us tailor our content today to be valuable to you. All right, Laura,
Awesome.
you want to?
Yeah, I'll get started. So, hey everybody, excited to have Lori Appleman with us. She is absolutely just a great human, but she's an expert in all things e-commerce. She's been in the space for over 17 years. She's always helping people in the BigCommerce community, which I love, and consistently since I met her probably over 5 years ago. She's the co-founder, managing partner of Redline Minds, and not only is she a digital expert, she can help you develop your omni-channel strategy, which we know is very important these days. So excited to have you, Lori, and I'm excited to get started.
I'm excited about this, and what's kind of interesting is, I mean, numbers are really what we're in this for. You know, we can talk about doing good deeds and we can talk about selling cool products, and all these things are admirable, but without the right numbers, you don't tend to stay in business, let alone grow. So, and I've spent the last 6 months trying to find the best dashboard for our clients. And it's really kind of a challenge, especially because you can use Google Analytics, and even if you're super sophisticated with it, there's so much information that isn't really there that you really need to maximize your profits and your efficiency. So Glew is just kind of brilliant, and I don't know what else to say, except that I find it a very easy to use tool, and it does more than I would have thought. So anyway.
So getting into our trends and some of our conversation for today, we did want to send out a quick poll if you just take a second to respond. But we're curious how your Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales were this year compared to last year, if it was an increase or a decrease. So if you'll just take a quick moment and fill that out. And Lori, if you want to maybe talk a little bit about what you saw from your stores this year.
Well, you know, thankfully, and of course, we were super aggressive with retargeting and email this year, to the point where I thought we would lose lots of subscribers, but that really saved the bacon. November had been quiet for most of our stores, and we went into the weekend relatively worried, to be quite honest, and yet the weekend for most of our clients broke new records. I mean, we've seen some that are 3 times, 4 times up over the prior year. So thankfully, it was really good. Would love to know if that's been true for everybody.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
So it looks like actually a lot of our attendees actually experienced a decrease this year. So, well, the good news is on the webinar today, we're going to give you a lot of tips and tricks to make the most of the rest of the holiday season, and hopefully some good best practices going into next year.
The good news is that at least as far as BigCommerce merchants went, they as a whole did really well. In fact, they beat the general market. So that's really a nice thing for those of us on it.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna get into our next polling question here. So kind of as a next step to, sales beyond the decrease, what are some of the things that you find difficult to measure today for your brand? And this is one where you can select everything that applies to you. So sales by category, effectiveness of discount codes, accurate customer lifetime value, and profitability. So if everybody would just take a quick moment to respond to this one.
This is where we need the music. We should be playing the Wednesday dance song, since that's trending in commercials and everything now.
All right. Okay, so looks like okay. We'll give everybody just one more second. I apologize. I think I did the results rather than the thing that you can vote on. So that's problematic. So we'll give everybody just 1 second to vote here. I gave you the answer instead of the questions. Classic Jen. So again, sales by category, effectiveness of discount codes, accurate, customer lifetime value, or profitability. Or also if there are other things, feel free to put it into the Q&A box. I'll be happy to share out some of the other things that you'd like to talk about today as well. Also, you know, Lori put into or posed the question, which I'll share with you. If you are using Glew today, what's your favorite feature? You can also put that into the Q&A. All right, looks like we're getting some answers populating.
Cool.
All right. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay, so it looks like there's a lot of traction around accurate customer lifetime value and profitability. But really across the board, it looks like all of these are things that, you know, are definitely difficult to measure. All right, so now we're going to get into some best practices and use cases. I'm going to turn it over to Lori and Laura to talk some more about that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've personally been at Glew for 7 years, so I could talk a lot about this. But maybe Lori, I know you've had a few clients that have used Glew, and I think yourself, you have leveraged some of the data in Glew when it comes to the segmentation piece.
Yeah, well, the segmentation piece is helpful for a lot of different things. You know, initially we were using it to feed custom segments to MailChimp, to be honest with you, because MailChimp has terrible options for that kind of stuff. But what's really cool about the segmentation tool here is that you can actually figure out what people in a segment match up. Like you could say, you know, the VIPs buy this category more often. So you can then use that to tailor both your merchandising, especially if you're using some of these upsell, cross-sell, or personalization apps like LimeSpot and others that are out there, but also on your email messaging. And, you know, that was probably the first feature that I really enjoyed. The other that I used a ton of was the inventory management tools. I mean, most stores have like an 80-20 rule where 20% of the stuff is what sells well, and everything else is there mostly to just make it look bigger, and maybe pull in some SEO. But it's really important that you try to keep your best sellers in stock. And at a certain point, if you have items that are dogs that just aren't moving, you really should clear them out to make space on your shelf and to free up the cash so you have more operating capital to invest in things that actually do sell well. So I really like the predictive features and the you know, the estimate of when I might run out and all these other little features that are kind of hard to get otherwise. The customer lifetime value, this is the most important KPI or metric actually that you have, because this is what you need to use to gauge the profitability of your marketing. Attribution models. This is a tough this is the toughest topic when it comes to data. Just for those of you who don't know, the way Google computes a conversion, it's the last click other than direct. So for example, when you see an email number in Google Analytics, and let's say it says you got $23,000 from email last month, that means that the most immediate action that got them to make a purchase, they came from an email, which is great because it certainly tells you that they were effective. But what you don't know is where that customer really came from, because email isn't a first click. And if you're trying to grow your business, you need email is retention marketing, as is text marketing. It's all about keeping your clients and boosting your lifetime customer value and the number of repeat customers you have. But if you're not also focusing on which channels drive new customers, then you may make some errors. If you, for example, assume that social media isn't driving enough money to be worth the trouble of keeping up your pages, as a last click, it might not. I mean, this is going to vary by business, but as a first click, it might be a gold mine, or it might be a second click. So one of the neat things about Glew is that it's going to tell you where they originally came from. So you can then say, you know, my Google, even to guess your AdWords, because they don't attribute, they don't match the total sales volume a customer has that might have originally came from your ad. So you may be running ads and thinking you're losing money or running at a break even, but it turns out those customers just take a little longer to buy, and they're coming back through an email, and you still got that customer through AdWords. So understanding where they originally come from and focusing your efforts on your best return is an more efficient way to grow. So,
Absolutely.
Oh, and when you segment out your customers, you can feed them to the email platforms as custom and dynamically updated segments. So the most common use we've had for that are customer groups. Maybe you have a retail and a wholesale audience, and you decidedly need to send out different messages. So this is the easiest way to do that. And while Klaviyo certainly does have some great customer data in it, good luck aggregating that data to gauge what that audience is all about. So you have much, much richer information here.
Yes.
Back to Laura.
Well, you hit them all on the nail. Global sales and marketing, I think, you know, especially for merchants that are selling maybe in other marketplaces. So you have your BigCommerce and you might sell on Amazon or eBay or all of the above. And then marketing, we know, is a mess when it comes to disparate data everywhere. So really just getting like a central source of truth and having, you know, that quickly and easily available to you is key to running your business smoothly. So that's kind of like the final piece that we'll actually touch on more, that comes from the custom reporting element if you're trying to get one global view of your sales. One thing I really love about our tool is there's so many different user personas. So executives, you know, C-level suite owners really love getting those top line KPIs in a very easy format. So it's like, I just want to see these, you know, top 10 KPIs, and I want to measure against last year's performance or period over period. And I want to know quickly so I can make decisions on the fly. So there's a lot of that in Glew, and you can cherry pick the KPIs that you need to see and even email and automate it to the right stakeholders. From a marketing perspective, we've already talked about the customer data, but really that's going to be key and essential to growing your business and understanding customer behaviors, what they're buying, who are my highest LTV customers, and making sure that I understand those traits of that type of customer. And then LTV, if you don't know what it is, Glew has a lot of it, so you'll get to know it well. Lifetime value, we're talking about these as if everybody already knows. So I think it's good to understand that if you don't look at LTV today, it's incredibly important for understanding what's really working well for your business. So I'd say it's one metric that can signify loyalty to your brand. So high LTV customer, very good. So we'll talk more about that. But from a marketing standpoint, you're going to get that lots of different ways, you know, the who, what, when, where of your business. So operationally, I have actually quite a few COOs that utilize Glew. As an operational director, or whatever your title is around operations, you need to understand metrics like predictive out of stock dates. You need to be on top of inventory levels, velocity, sell-through rates, and additionally understanding other metrics such as holding costs. So you're not, they're not too sky high, and you're getting rid of stale inventory, things like that. E-commerce director is really what I think of when I see e-commerce. E-commerce directors usually wear a lot of hats. So I'd say they spend a lot of time in different parts of the application, whether it's customers or products. They're likely site merchandisers as well. So if you're an e-commerce director, head of digital, bless you, because I know you have a lot on your plate. So Glew is going to help you really centralize a lot of that information that you're going to need to do your job well. So the power of business intelligence, if it's your first time seeing business intelligence, I think for me, the easiest way to kind of think of it is the brains of your business. We need an automated and easy way to calculate whatever metric it is that we're looking for. But typically those metrics that we're after around profitability, return on ad spend or ROAS, customer acquisition cost or CAC, are going to come from disparate sources. So that's our first problem, right? So we need to make sure that all of our revenue and all of our costs, whether it's cost of goods sold or looking at advertising platforms, there's lots of sources, right? So we all know that. So we want to get it in one place. And then once we have it in one place, we want to be able to run these calculations, right? So profitability, ROAS, CAC, all in Glew and all in an automated fashion. So we're feeding all of that data from those disparate sources. We're running these calculations so that we can grow our business effectively. Okay, so how it works. We're taking all of the data from all these disparate data sources. If you're someone that is not just selling one time, but your subscription, that's a whole other level of complexity to the business. But fundamentally, when you're running an e-commerce business, you're going to have at least 3 to 5 disparate sources, right? So we need to make sure we're getting all of that into the system. Glew is not just centralizing this data. We call it intelligent data warehouse because it's not just centralizing the data. We do a lot of stuff on the back end that you can't see. So think of them as little data elves. They're extracting, transforming, and loading the data on the back end. So we do a lot of maintenance to maintain all of the data that is flowing in from these different data sources. We're running those calculations. So the outputs in Glew, you'll see a lot of the out-of-the-box presets, SQL queries that it's really plug and play. So once you plug in your data, which if you haven't done it yet, comes by way of either an API key or login credentials. And then we have all of the beautiful outputs that you get inside Glew. Custom reporting is some additional capabilities that Glew has with a BI tool embedded called Looker, actually Googlebot Looker. We've done all of the coding work, so there is no coding needed. So it makes that customized reporting very seamless and easy process. So no building data warehouses and structures and maintenance and all the crazy things that come with trying to do it on your own. All right, so a little blurry, sorry for that. These are screenshots so I can quickly get to what I need to. Under customer lists, you're going to find the ability to create custom segments. We will give you some predefined ones. So if you don't know where to start, we'll give you some to start with, like full price versus value shoppers, for example, or a couple really good ones. But the ability to be able to customize these segments will help you to, one, maybe you want to suppress certain groups. To Lori's point earlier, if you have wholesale and retail, so that'd be one major way we'd want to cleave our customer groups. And then also segmenting based on KPIs like lifetime revenue, lifetime orders, where's their first order channel. So let's say they came from CPC Google, and I want to understand in totality of 2022, what was my lifetime revenue from customers acquired from my paid advertising for Google Ads. So a really great one, just some examples, but there's a lot you can do with several different data points you'll see hidden, but in the filters, you'll see those all populate. So I recommend playing with those so you can identify high LTV cohorts, and anything blue you can click into. So you can click into customer profiles, you can click into these groups, identify what they're buying, where they came from. We can go on to the next one. There's a lot we can do with customers, but I don't have all day. Inventory. So this is going to be the inventory tab beneath products. So we've talked a lot about I think the way you worded it, Lori, was like not having too much money invested in products that are not selling well. And so you're locking up capital, essentially. So we want to find products that sell quickly, right? So I've sorted by velocity to get our fastest sellers to the top. So how many units on average you're selling per day will help you to see your projected out of stock date. So as long as you are capturing the quantity on hand, we can give you a predictive out of stock date or depletion days. So however you'd like to do that, but depletion days is usually what merchants will use that I've worked with. If your lead time, let's say, is 30 days to reorder, setting a filter for depletion days is 30 days or less, which I think is on the next slide. So once I create that segment, that's step one. Step two would be to save that report to your reports library. So clicking the three dots. Step three is going to be to set a recurring report. So I can do one-time sends. So maybe at the end of the year, we do a 2022 recap and we send it to our executive team. But recurring, something like this, operationally, we want to get this either every day or every week. So we can set that cadence when we'd like to get it and have it come right to our inbox. So we know exactly which products we need to reorder. We can go to the next one. So, man, it's a little blurry, I apologize, but underneath customers, we have what's called groups. So if you're using groups, it's difficult to go into like certain metrics about groups. So I know we talked about segmenting them in and out, but you may want to see lifetime value, for example, by customer group. Some other ways that you can identify LTV, like I was mentioning before, is you'll see under the custom segments in the segment section, you'll be able to sort by LTV as well. And then LTV, we've talked a lot about. Like I said, as a not just e-commerce director, merchandiser, I would even go as far to say, depending on the size of your company, someone who is creating products, so product development, you want to identify those top products, like Lori was saying, that are generating the most money for your brand. So if you have lots of SKUs, sifting through those top sellers. So what do I sell the most of that also lends me that higher LTV customer? So identifying those can help with site merchandising, where to place products when I'm presenting in my socials or email marketing. So like what to kind of lead with earlier in the customer journey, for example, because we want to attract customers that have a taste for products that will spend more money with us. So that's one way to
another great way of segmenting would be those that rely on coupons to make a purchase, and those that could care less, they just don't use them. Giving a coupon to somebody who will buy from you at full price is leaving money on the table. So you can actually, that's probably one of the more basic segmentations, is that you would send a coupon deal to the coupon lovers on a regular basis, but you would probably do it very rarely for the customer who doesn't. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have the predefined one you can use, or if you want to identify if someone used a discount code or not, in addition to some of the others, you could kind of play with those filters. So another LTV metric. So this is on the channel level. We do a lot of mapping in Glew when it comes to your cart and your GA. So think of, like we were talking about, the first order attribution model. If I'm wanting to identify the lifetime value of a customer on a channel level, wouldn't I want to know where they originated from? I mean, in my mind, I think as a marketer, that's critical, because to Lori's point, we know people, if they already know about our brand, are likely going to come back direct, email, SMS, but we want to know how people are discovering us and actually are getting acquired, as a customer. So ad spend, for example, if you spend a lot of money on ad spend, you want to identify like the efficacy of your different channels. I'd say LTV is one way to uncover where your most loyal customers are coming from a first order attribution model standpoint. So I know this is extremely blurry, but I don't know if you guys saw that. There's a little toggle where you can change. If you're like, nope, I'm married to the Google Analytics attribution model, and that's what I like to report on. Or maybe for some of the other tables in Glew, like AOV or something like that, you want to see AOV by channel in a last click attribution window, you can totally do that. Okay. Last but not least, we have the really awesome capabilities. Having Looker as the BI layer embedded into Glew, I mean, this is really, really fantastic, because if you have ever tried to build something on your own, or maybe bought a BI tool and you realized like, oh shoot, there's a lot more work that needs to be done, you do not have to worry about any coding, any infrastructure, any data warehousing, any management. Glew is doing all of that for you. So it's really a point and click report creation process. So if you're trying to get a global sales view, or you have specific metrics that you need to report on as a business that don't come out of the box, we have you covered. So I just want to mention that, just so you know, we can scale with you and provide customized reporting as well. I think this is just kind of a global sales, and then we have an aggregate ad spend. Sometimes people like to see a blended view. To Lori's point, I think it's hard to, nail down one perfect attribution model, but first order is kind of what we landed on in terms of profitability, but you might want to see something like a blended kind of CAC or CPC, CBR. So this just kind of gives you some examples of reports that have been done in the past. I put this in here because if you haven't used Glew before, it could be new to you. You will be given a little badge where it says custom reporting. So Walmart, for example, is custom reporting. Any that don't have a badge, those are all fair game. You can integrate as many connectors as you need to that are applicable to your business.
Do you offer the ability to custom port in another data source?
Like a CTU, like a CSV file?
Either that, or, I'm thinking on the fly. If I were drop shipping and not stocking, the metrics I may want and need would be a little bit different, and I may want to connect in, the data, like if I was using Duoplane to port in all my vendor info and stuff like that.
Yeah, so if there is something that you didn't see on the list, we do have a way to get that into Redshift. It's essentially by way of what we call a CTU or a custom table upload. So there's always a way to get data in there. Yeah.
All right. And I know that we are pretty much a couple minutes over time here, but if you have any final questions, feel free to put them into the Q&A. I did see one question in here around Google Analytics. And so I'm actually going to, when I send the recording of this, we did a webinar not too long ago about some of the differences that are going to be happening with the transition from Universal Analytics. So I'm going to include that in the email we send out as well, if you'd like that for reference.
Good idea.
And then just some of the product praise. Alana said she really enjoys the daily snapshots a lot.
Awesome. Oh, I know Alana. Hello.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like we've had any more questions flowing in, but we appreciate everybody's time and attention today. And if we don't talk to you before the end of the year, we hope that you have a really happy holiday.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you again to Lori for graciously spending her time with us today.
Oh, and I just wanted to echo something I've mentioned, but didn't mention today in case somebody missed it. BigCommerce users can get Glew Pro free, correct? Laura?
Yes. Oh, that is
making sure I'm telling the truth. Yeah.
I'm like, yes. No, it's very exciting. We're happy that everybody gets Glew now. So if it was cost prohibitive before, yeah. So excited for everybody to experience Glew, and we have lots of resources on the site as well, and maybe we could pop those also, the links to those, into the email I think that we're sending out.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I just want to add is that this program is amazing how many different ways you can slice and dice your data. I also wanted to add that it's compatible with ShipStation and several of its competitors. So if you want to actually compute what your orders are costing you after shipping, that's actually a very important question, especially as you decide whether you're charging or free or you know, it's all part of your business intelligence to make sure that you get the most out of your investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. ROI, that's your friend. Return on investment. So.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye, everyone.